let's take a look at the running back position. Now this position isn't as clear-cut as the quarterback position, as to me there are 2 or 3 players that are in the running for the number 1 spot. First, let's talk about Gabe Ervin, the 6 foot, 217-pound sophomore out of Georgia, who has consistently received praise from Coach Rhule throughout the spring, and had some good moments during the spring game where you see him running with some authority and vision. Now, his numbers ain't going to wow you any or pop out of you from the spring game, but none of the running backs were able to gain a whole lot that day as the defense shined throughout. But Gabe showed us why he started 2 games as a freshman before suffering that season-ending knee injury. But Gabe has now shined all spring, and he even stated that he finally feels like his old self back when he was in high school. The other top running back to me is senior Anthony Grant, the 5'11", 200-pound transfer from New Mexico Military Institute. Grant is probably the closest running back we have to being a star, but isn't quite there. Grant at times looked like the back we saw early last year when it looked like he could break out and have a big season. So he could easily, I could see Grant having a big year and he maybe break out this year. I believe having both Grant and Ervin, I believe having both these guys will help keep each other fresh. And because of that, I could see Grant or even Ervin having a breakout year. But I see them playing substantial time together to the point that they'll be able to pound it out some good yards late in games. To me, Grant has this ability to know when it's game time and to turn it up when needed.
Beat themselves. They don't do it on the Scarlet Knight side of things normally. Thompson again. His outlet is Grant, and he's got room already into plus territory. Oh my goodness.
He's just on another level compared to the others when it's game time. And I kind of saw that even during the spring game. Didn't hear a lot about him during the spring practices, but when the spring game came, you kind of saw what we saw last year. But overall, I feel both these players will get significant snaps to the point when the season starts. It wouldn't surprise me if both were named the starter. And I know what you're thinking. I mean, you got to remember that a depth chart list is really for the media, nothing else. I mean, if Nebraska came out on the very first possession and ran a 5 wide receiver set with no backs, I mean, does that mean there's no starting running back? There's no starter? No, I mean, that's just not how it works. So I could see Rhule stating that both of these players are co-starters, and as I feel he could start both and play both and maybe run with the hot hand as the game goes on. There's actually another back that actually surprised me during the spring game, and that was Ramir Johnson. Johnson's 5'10" junior. He's out of New Jersey, but he really looked good and maybe even looked the best out of all the backs during the spring game. So I feel he's going to get ample playing time this season, as he probably will fit into that spot where A.J. Allen was last year. And speaking of A.J. Allen's the 5'11", 185-pound redshirt freshman out of Louisiana. Looked like he was about to bust out and take over the starting job last season before he got hurt and missed the rest of the year. AJ looked decent during the spring game, but I just felt he was playing like he already knew he was going to transfer and didn't want to take chances on getting hurt, as I didn't see that that burst or that run like you saw last year early before he got hurt. But he missed a lot of the spring practices because of the injury, and which probably put him behind a lot of the backs, especially Grant and Irving, but maybe even Johnson coming out of the spring. So obviously that's not what he's looking for. So as he threw his name into the transfer portal and landed at Miami. So to me, this is where I feel Ramir Johnson takes over. Now don't misread into what I'm saying here. Losing A.J. Allen is a big deal. as A.J. Allen is extremely talented. That's a lot of talent. You're talking about a freshman that looked like if he stayed healthy could have took over the starting job last season. So you keep an eye on A.J. Allen at Miami this year and throughout his career. Don't be surprised if he don't finally break out. And you never know. Maybe Rhule told AJ because of how Gabe Ervin played and Grant and now Ramir Johnson. Maybe he told AJ that he's now number 4 right now and had to earn his way back up, and AJ didn't like that, so he decided to hit the transfer portal. Now, also keep in mind we have a lot of talent in this running back room, so I could so the question is, can one of these backs, one or two of these backs in the running back room, step up and become a star? If it's not this year, next year. I mean, what about Emmett Johnson? You know, he's 5'11", 190-pound redshirt freshman out of Minneapolis. Could this be his year to step it up? Is he ready to make a move and take over and move up to at least the number 3 spot or maybe even number 2? And what about the incoming freshman, Quentin Ives? He could come in and emerge as a solid number 3, even though I feel like Quentin is a player coming in that I could easily see switching positions when he gets here. I mean, this kid's listed at 6'2", 6'3", which is really tall for a running back. So I could see him switching to wide receiver, and depending on his strength and conditioning, once he gets here, he could end up being on the defensive side as an edge player and a pretty darn good one. He's got great speed and quickness, could pick up some more speed and quickness during the strength and conditioning. So I could see Quentin making a move on the defensive side. So we need to keep an eye on Quentin Ives once he gets here. And even though he's not a running back, let's talk about that surprise position we saw during the spring game, the hybrid position where Bonner shined as a fullback, but will also play tight end and wide receiver. Bonner looked like a natural as this 6'3", 220-pound redshirt freshman shined with his running ability out of that fullback spot. He ran for 7 yards on the opening play of the spring game, and to me, he shocked us. He shocked a lot of us with his blocking ability in the fullback position as well. And I feel could end up being one of the top fullbacks we've ever had at Nebraska. And that's saying a lot as we've had some good ones throughout the years. Now, again, this won't be a traditional fullback position as Rhule plans to play Bonner in, like I said, a hybrid position, using him as a tight end or a wide receiver or fullback as well, depending on the formation or the play call at the time. And that's great because you could put him in as a tight end or as a wide receiver and you do some pre-snap motions, then all of a sudden run into the I formation at a fullback and you can maybe catch the defense in a nickel or a dime, which would be perfect for that I formation. Now let's break down how I feel the running back depth is currently at coming out of spring workouts and going into the summer and fall camp. I feel Anthony Grant and Gabe Ervin both are probably tied for that number 1 spot, with Ramir Johnson holding down the number 3 spot after these spring workouts. And some promising depth after Ramir could easily make a name for themselves. So this is a position room that we need to really keep an eye on in the summer and going into the fall camp right before the season. But I feel Anthony Grant and Gabe Ervin are right there at number 1. I really see them both being kind of a combo number 1. He might name 1-1 and 1-2, but I see both of them playing significantly, feeding off each other during games, with Ramir Johnson kind of coming in, giving him that different style of running back, and then playing the hot hand as they go on. So this is where we stand with the running backs. Now, if you would like to show your gratitude by leaving us a small tip, please use the links in the descriptions below, as we do accept Venmo and Cash App. And for all of you that have left us a tip, please accept our gratitude, as we really do appreciate your kindness. As you know, we're in the service business, and just like a waitress or a waiter, we totally depend on voluntary tips to help us continue, create, edit, and upload these videos. You can also support us on our Patreon page by becoming a Patreon member for extra perks and rewards throughout the year. That link is in the description below as well. But again, thank you for your support, and until the next video, go Big Red.